All right, so here's the toy we use to put all the materials on the roof. And this is the roof that gets covered, and there's 2 shed dormers in the front as well. This is Kevin. What's your name? ¿Cómo se llama?
¿Ah?
¿Cómo se llama?
Mito.
Mitro.
Aquí anda grabando.
¿Cómo se llama?
Ya lo vi.
¿Cómo se llama?
Plantel.
Ajá.
Aquí anda grabando el video.
We're putting on a substrate adhesive, otherwise known as yellow glue or amarillo glue. Amarillo? Mm-hmm. Okay. It's my Spanish lesson teacher. The expert here laid out the piece. Lines are snapped, so the couple inches are hanging over, 2 inches. This red mark marks where you no longer put the substrate adhesive and put the primer, so the primer becomes attached to the termination strip at the wall. Because the EPDM, this is the reinforced termination strip, and this peels off, and the primer is painted onto the rubber, and it bonds underneath, and it keeps the rubber from pulling, because it will pull, and then there will be a big gap here. It's okay. There are these safety barriers, and as you can see, they were moved out of the way. I don't know how you would do this. Oh yes, there are certain barriers that hang over the edge of the roof, so that you don't have them sitting on the roof. So the yellow glue is spread everywhere except for this place where we bond. You can't see it anymore, but it's bonded to the part of the reinforced termination strip, and then we're continuing to yellow glue beyond that. They would have just leave a little bit of space underneath this hardy plank siding down there, then I could get under it. This is gonna make it easier for me in the long run. This, what is it, zip system, this green board is waterproof, and they use this tape to run over the seams so the seams won't leak. And when I'm done, I'm going to run an entire strip across here. This will be partly how the seam is formed, so I want it to kind of stay like that. I had a brand new sharp blade, and when I went like that, I stabbed myself. So I'm gonna do it different this time. All right. This stuff is not, this stuff has a considerable amount of adhesive on the back. It's not just like packaging tape or something. Try to make this look like I know what I'm doing. Let's see, it wants to stick to the bottom first, so let's let it stick to the bottom first and then pull it up and let it stick to the top.
Finish your so 16 and $3. Huh? I got what? You want me to crank it up, fucker? You already can't hear me.
Yeah, man.
The first thing we do is attach this 1/2-inch polyiso board, staggering the joints, and they're staggered from the plywood before. See, this is not completely attached here. And once that's done, we put this reinforced termination strip here, and I'll show you what's done with that in a minute. But that goes down. So in the field you use these 3-inch caps, and there's 10 minimum per 4x8 sheet, and normally it's put in a 10 die, like on a, like 2 dice with the 5s put together, or a 10 domino, 1 2 3 4 with 1 in the middle. So we had a little trouble with these edges curling up, so we put them closer together, and we used more than you need to use. And so he's putting in these 2-inch caps on the reinforced termination strip, and the termination strip goes against the walls, and it keeps the roof from pulling away and making a bubble up in the corners. So later on we'll be putting on the rubber and then the termination strip on the edge. So we rolled the yellow substrate adhesive, the yellow glue on, and we're waiting for it to dry. It needs to dry.
Tengo que subir.
Alright, I'm putting the finishing touches on this EPDM roof, which I put on a while ago. The last thing we did was put in these lead anchors, and you can see sandwiched behind the EPDM is water stop seal. And this stuff sort of like doesn't dry. it's been here for a week, and it just seals the EPDM to the brick. And now we're going to fill this caulk lip. In the past I used Vulcan, but this time I'm going to use this Top Gun 400 with DuPont Kevlar stone color. I think the color is similar to the brick, has a lifetime warranty. It's water based, so it does shrink up, but it's easy to deal with. Now, sure, I can stick this in here and pull it, but I want to regulate how this nozzle is formed. So that should fill it. And the thing I like about this is I don't have to use this pin to poke the seal. It's ready to go. This piece of EPDM here is just sort of left over. I have some water stop behind it. Nothing is going to happen if water gets behind it. I'm going to put a little Top Gun in here, but I'm not going to seal here, because if water does get in here, you want it to get out. You don't want to block it up in there. Finish this roof off, I'm going to put a little elastiform over here and trim the EPDM back to about 1 inch, although it's not that critical because the metal is going to go over it. And these penetrations, they look okay, but they've been sealed with OSI quad caulk. And a quad caulk does, just see how this comes up like this. So we're going to do a proper seal, but sort of like the old time way, so we don't have to tear this all up. So we're going to put 2-inch caps here, because the rubber is going to want to pull away from this, and even if this sticks, it probably won't resist the rubber pulling away. And then we're going to use elastiform. Imagine this seal would be a backup. So I'm just going to leave that there. This is how the caps, parapet caps, are laid out. I trimmed this back so 1 inch of the EPDM folds over. If these caps leak, wouldn't have to go to a great deal of trouble to seal the overlap because the EPDM underneath. These things are working out pretty well because I measured a little bit wider than what needed to be done, and what I need to figure out is how to deal with the very end. So here we are putting these cap 2-inch, 3-inch can be used also, and this is here to keep the rubber roof from pulling away, and it will. These screws are long because there's 2.5 inches of ISO board underneath here. This quad caulk was kind of a good idea. It was not going to last, so this must be done. Okay, here we have a piece of elastoform, also called uncured. I have it labeled. There's so many EPDM parts. It takes me a few minutes to figure it out every time I go through the inventory, so I label it. And I'm getting ready to do this corner, so this doesn't show, just in case water gets past the metal. Now once I take this back off, it should be more flexible. So here's a black glue part. This is the way we did it back in the day before there was seam tape. I was trying to think of the technical name of that, but that seam tape that sticks the two layers together. And we're going to put this on here and use it also in a couple of other places. See, it was like this. I'm going to put some on this, even though technically I don't think you need to, but I'm going to. Now I'm going to use this stuff much like you would use yellow glue to glue down these corners here. Normally you would use yellow glue for this, but I'm going to, actually I want the side down first and then this, so we'll cut that there. And since this is going over, this adhesive will glue the seam. You can make seams with this. And if I remember, you only put it on one side, but this is now not the de rigueur way to do it. So I'll let that dry really good. That black glue is drying over there. I'm going to start doing one of these, and it will end up just go on around like that. What you do is simply coat this with black glue. I didn't mark how far out it should be, so we'll come out to here. It doesn't hurt to go further. I captured part of this metal thing with these caps. Whoever tries to get back into this thing will have a problem. All right, so I don't think we need it on this here part, but I'm gonna wipe the brush off onto this. Passes the knuckle test. It's dry, and now we'll peel the back. This back is what gives it its form. Otherwise it stretches. Now this piece of elastoform might have been in the shop for a while, and let's see if I can stretch it a little bit first. It kind of self-cures as it stays in the atmosphere. Okay, so normally you would use lap seam sealant around these edges. but we're up underneath this flashing, so I'm not going to do that. This covers it, and I think the material, the metal overhanging will push this down. Now let's see how we are here. Yes, that's ready to go. I'll peel this off. You need to work it into the corner before you glue the edges down. So I'll start here and stretch it around that, and then work it down into the corner. And before I put this down, I want to stretch these, because if I put that down, it'll keep me from stretching it. Okay, so that's not being very aggressively attached to the others, to the side. So what I'm thinking is I need, see, it's not working. So I am going to put some black glue also on this. Now, which may be what you're supposed to do anyway, to get the upper part stuck before I glue the bottom part. I'm putting the black glue on this as well. And setting it down to dry. Back to this, and this side needs to come under this top piece here, so I have it down, and this on top of that. Now, it wouldn't, I need a little black glue to stick this and this together. See how this is doing. Now this has black glue on it. Right, those two sides had black glue. Those will stick. Just run a bead of caulk here, and I think that would be a better way to finish this edge than to lap it over and have the black show up and down there. Now, I'm not going to glue this like I thought. I'm just going to cut it here and run a bead of caulk. I have it stretched around the bottom. It's not quite, it's a little wet there, so it's not sticking yet how I want. So I'm going to wait. It is there now. All right, let's now put this down. Stretch that out. Okay, this needs some more glue. It's not, the glue's not dry enough for it to stick real well. All right, I'm cutting this off, so there's just a small amount to form a sort of like a caulk lip. And then this has yellow, this has black glue on it, and so does this. So now it will stick and stick down. And I will caulk this here with clear Top Gun. By the way, this white stuff you see everywhere, that's talc that is used between the layers of the EPDM so it doesn't stick to itself. Just doing. So now that is repeated all the way around with overlaps. Until the thing is covered all the way around. So I would put black glue on top of this and stick the next piece down. And then make sure I overlap that considerably. See how that's starting to flatten out, making my sloppy caulking look good? Look at that. And I like it because there's more material built up over the edge. So when you tool it, see this? There's no material up onto this edge. Or not much. And this place, this spot here. See where this membrane comes out? You don't need it. It's where a cut was made. And somebody stepped on this. And one is finished, and my comments are, this is a skill set to have. I'm glad I recorded it. The thing to do would have been taking this off, they don't make a split boot. They do for TPO, where the boot is split and then you put it together. EPDM, at least from my suppliers, do not say they carry a split boot for EPDM. So you could get the pre-molded boot that has where you just put a circle of primer down and then you slip it over and cut it out to the side. Now that would have saved a lot of time, but there are instances that one does need to use this technique.